few weeks ago, I went out Goodwill shopping and I wanted to keep an eye out for a terrarium because I knew I wanted to plant one for my son. And yes, I did find a really nice one, a real strong glass bowl, and only $3.99. It was about a gallon size, had a nice lid on it. I couldn't really find anything wrong. Now, the lids are taped real strongly on them so that they don't get separated, I'm assuming. But it looked good. Couldn't find any nicks, cracks, anything like that. So I swept that up real quickly, and now I am ready to make some cuttings to get that planted up for my son. I want to make a terrarium for my son. I think he might have a good chance with something you don't have to pay attention to in water. So I've got this baby tears that desperately needs a haircut. You can see it's growing down below the level to the table. And it really needs freshened up. I probably need to put some starts out for summer. But this is looking so good. I do think I want to take some cuttings of it and get them rooted so we can start them in his terrarium. And I know the terrarium will work just fine. Well, I'm hoping it will, because I do have it in this little teapot, and it wants to grow toward the light. Sorry, I can't hold this very well one-handed, but I think I may start that, but we'll have to get it out where I can reach it. The button fern's doing really, really well. It likes all that moisture down in there that just soaks right through the sides of the pot. The same with this one. So we'll have to see what we can do to get some starts going and some roots. Okay, now I wonder if I can successfully put this out onto the table. Let's see. Got to get a hold of the dish and the saucer. Let me just try. I don't know that I can do that. Let me try another way. Now you can see how badly in need of a haircut, because there are spots here. Let me go deep into here. You can see where little pieces die out. And so I really need to get into that and see what we can do. Look at that. Let me see, I don't think it'll flip. But this is a huge plant. Now let me go also, it's on a saucer because the tufa bowl that it's in is sitting on a saucer. So the bowl looks like under there. You can see that. So we're going to try to make some headway with this and take some clippings to root. Oh, what a mess. Now I did buy a terrarium, a bowl, from the Goodwill. It was one of my last Goodwill trips that I had, and I had been on the lookout for one, and this one had a nice lid and everything. Thankfully, when I got it home and was able to untape the lid and examine, everything was good. You gotta watch out for chips, things like that, so you don't want to get cut. But here it is in its glory. Now, this one is about, I don't know, it's probably a good gallon, if not a little more. I've got also another one that might be about 3 gallon. Now, I might plan up both of those. Here, let me back up so you can see both and see the size. Now, I carried them both in here and tucked the lid under my arm. And I can't tell which lid fits which, because they both fit. I don't know. I guess it really doesn't make any difference. This one had a lid before, but I dropped it and broke it. So I guess one fits either one. But now we're going to get my little test tube rooting things, and I'm going to root a bunch of the baby tears. Okay, my test tubes right here. Okay, I'm going to get both sets and take them in there. There they are. Now let's clear off this table. Now the water for this rooting that I'm going to do, I'm using my treated water in each of these little test tubes. The water conditioner works fine for me, along with a little bit of fertilizer. It's going to be fine. Okay, I think I'm set up and I'm going to try to do this. I'll try to get some good cuttings from the edges so that we can put these down into the water to root. So I'm just going to start cutting, and I will do some trimming on these later on. But what I want to do is just get a cluster of these. I don't even know where to start. Let's say right in here. That looks like a good one. Cut that off. And look at that one. And let's grab this one where it's getting a little dried underneath. I'll grab that one. Okay. Now, you see I have a cluster of these. See those tiny, tiny little leaves. Hopefully they're showing up real well. And what I'm going to do is just stick the whole end down in there, because I think, well, I know that when it grows along the ground, it'll root at every tiny little junction there, every little root node, because this will creep along the ground. So let me pull the bottle over here. And what I'm going to do is just grab the ends. See if I can do this. Grab the ends of each of those. Let me see if I can pull them over here in front of my face first so I can see what I'm doing. See, I've picked them all together. I've got 4 strands here, and I've got all of their ends together right there. I'm just going to take those, and this test tube, I'm going to stick them down in there, all of them. Now, you can see they're in the water, so I do expect them to root. Let me give it a little bit more of a shove down in there. I should get a lot of roots. Now let me show you what it'll look like in the stand. There, I put it in the stand, and there we are. So let me get some more cuttings, and we'll be in business. And then comes the haircut. Now, I have heard that you can put these in fish tanks. Never tried that, but you know, if you want to put them in your fish tank to try it out, I have heard that they can grow, but I don't have any fish. And if you've got a nice big aquarium full of nice fish, you might want to test that on a goldfish bowl sometime, just to try it out. There we go. Now, look at that. There we go. Now, she's got a massive haircut, a lot of cleanup done. I'm going to put her back over on her little pedestal. Look at that. Now you know that one will grow. And I have had blooms on these before. If I can find that picture when it bloomed, I'll stick it up here. I once had an open terrarium that I put the baby tears in and did have blooms. That lower right, where it's going over some bark and some rocks, you can see tiny little pink flowers. They were so cute and so unexpected. I never knew that baby tears bloomed, ever. Okay, I'm going to put her back. That's the pedestal she was on. And I'm going to switch her out to this pedestal. Quite a bit wider around. I don't know if you can tell from that angle, but that's a lot wider, so I think it'll fit her better. Here she goes. There. Now I may still do a tiny little bit of trim for her, but that should freshen her up a bit. I think those all could come off there around the bottom. Let me get the little nippers. Feel like a hairdresser. There we go. Now, I think she's more cleaned up. I'll get the little vacuum in here in a minute and clean her like that. But I think that looks pretty good. A little bit of a brown area here. I can just cut that out. That may be where she was up against the wall. There. I think she looks really good. And that should give her a fresh new outlook for the new season. So now we're going to clean up the mess. And I'm going to sort cuttings to put them into the little rooting test tubes. those filled up. And as fast as this grows, that should be filling up some terrariums, over a month or so. But I've still got a lot of cuttings left. I don't want to ditch them. I want to save them for anybody who might want some, later on. So I'm going to use clay pebbles, and I have this little tray. I'm going to put clay pebbles about 1 inch or 2 deep, put water in them, and lay these across the top just to see what happens. So I'll get that set up, and then I'll show you. All right, that's all I can do. I just can't do any more. And I'm going to take the lid, and for now, I'm just going to put it on loosely, and I'll set this in my plant room. I'll set that in my plant room and just keep it warm, give it just diffused light, and we'll see what we can come up with. And when we've gotten some roots on the other plants, we will plant those. We'll plant those into the big terrariums and see what happens.